So the first thing we're going to do is make a magic ring. So to do that, we are going to leave a little bit of a tail, and then we are going to take our yarn and we are going to wrap it around our finger 2 times, like this. And then we are going to take our hook, insert it underneath these 2 yarn, and pull the working yarn underneath and then twist it like this. So now that you have like a loop on your hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through. So you've just made your magic ring. So now we are going to make 8 single crochets in a magic ring, and to do a single crochet, you insert your hook underneath these 2 yarn loops, I guess, and then you're going to yarn over and pull. Also, to yarn over, you simply I like to just put it underneath my hook. I like to put it underneath the yarn tail, which is the yarn connected to the skein of yarn, and then pull through. So you have 2 loops on your hook, you see? 1, 2, and then yarn over and pull through both. So you did your first single crochet. Now do it 7 more times. So underneath these 2, yarn over by putting the yarn tail on the hook and then pulling through. Now you have 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now that you're done with 8 single crochets in a magic ring, you're going to remove everything except the hooks that's attached to the loop on the yarn, and you're going to take your thumb and put it in the middle of the hole and gently pull on this tail, which is the one connected here, until one of these 2 tightens. So for me, it's the one on the left. That doesn't mean that yours has to be on the left. So it really is a matter of which one of these 2 starts to tighten on your finger. So then I'm going to take my finger out of the hole, and I'm going to gently pull on the one that tightened to tighten the other one. And you see it's tightened. So now I'm going to go back to the yarn tail that's attached here, and I'm going to pull on it gently again to fasten off the yarn tail that was tightened, that was tightened on our finger. And there you go. So make sure to put a stitch marker at the end of your at the last stitch that you make. So for me, it's the 8th stitch, and to know it's the last stitch, you simply it's basically the stitch that's closest to the loop on your hook, you know what I mean? So for me, it's this one over here, this one, or you could simply pull on your hook so that it loosens, and then you can see much easily. So it's this one. But as you become better at crocheting, it will be much easier. You don't have to pull on the hook. But anyway, to tighten it, you pull on the yarn tail, the working yarn tail, like this, gently. Everything has to be gentle because plush yarn breaks super easily. And so yeah. And from now on, with the stitch marker, you're going to put it in the last stitch of every round. So for example, if the round is telling you to increase, you're going to do your 8 increases, and then you're going to put it in the last stitch that you made. So now we are going to do 8 increases. And to do an increase, go into the next loop on your hook, or stitch on your hook, sorry. And then make a single crochet like we've been doing. So yarn over, pull through, you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through. So that's 1 single crochet. Now, an increase is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So, you know the stitch where we went in just now? It's this one, for me. So, this one. So I'm going to yarn over again. So that's 2 single crochets. And then now we are going to go into the next stitch. We are going to do 2 single crochets. And then on the next stitch, you'll know it's a next stitch because it has like a V shape. If you can see, there's like 2 parts to it, right? So there's this one, which is the front loop, and there's this one, which is the back loop. So yeah, continue doing 8 increases or 16 single crochets, 2 in each stitch. So now that you've reached the last stitch where you have to do 2 single crochets in it, you're going to take off your stitch marker. You're going to do the increase in that stitch. So it's this one for me. Now again, to put the stitch marker, you're going to put it in the stitch closest to your loop that's on your hook. So for me, it's this one. But again, if you can't see it, just loosen the loop that's on your hook, and it's the one immediately connected to it. So it's this one. So then you are going to take your stitch marker, and you're going to put it in that stitch. And then to tighten again, you're going to take your working yarn and pull on it gently so that the loop that's on your hook tightens, sorry. And now for the next round, we are going to do 1 single crochet and then 1 increase all around. So that basically means in 1 stitch, we are going to do 1 single crochet, only 1. In the next stitch, we are going to do an increase. So we just did our first like 1 single crochet, 1 increase, and now we have to just keep repeating that. So 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then in the next stitch, 1 increase. One single crochet in the next stitch. Sorry, you have to go into both parts of the V. And then 1 increase in the next stitch. And so on. Remember that an increase is 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, so I don't know if it shows that I'm doing 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, but I am. And then, now that we've reached the end, we have to remove our stitch marker. And here we are going to do an increase because that's the last. You're going to end on an increase because the pattern says to do 1 single crochet and then 1 increase. And so the last stitch must end on an increase based on the pattern if you do the math. So we've been doing the rounds, and then in the last stitch, we've been removing the stitch marker, doing what the pattern says, and then putting the stitch marker back in the most recent stitch. So you're just gonna keep doing that all around for every round without me having to tell you to put the stitch marker back. So you'll know that a round is done once you reach the stitch marker and you remove it, you do what the pattern says, and then you put it back, and that's it. That's how the round ends, and then you do the next round until you reach the stitch marker, and so on. Now for the next round, we are going to do 2 single crochets. So 1 single crochet in each stitch 2 times, and then 1 increase. So 2 single crochets in 2 different stitches, and then 1 increase. 1, 2, increase, increase, 1, 2, increase, increase, 1, 2, increase, increase. So now you're going to do 3 single crochets in 3 different stitches. Okay, and now we are going to do an increase, and so on. 1, 2, 3, increase, increase. And keep doing that all around. And now we are going to do 4 single crochets and then 1 increase all around. And now we are going to do 5 single crochets and then 1 increase all around. Now, as you probably guessed, we're going to do 6 single crochets and then 1 increase all around. And finally, we're going to do 7 single crochets and then 1 increase all around, and then come back. Okay, now we are going to just single crochet once in each stitch, like this. And then we are going to do it for 9 rounds. So you're going to reach the stitch marker, do 1 single crochet in that stitch that had the stitch marker, and then put the stitch marker back in the stitch 9 times. So now we're going to start to decrease. So I'm going to do first 7 single crochets. And then we are going to do the invisible decrease. And so remember when I was saying that every stitch has a V, and then I pointed out that this is the front loop, the loop that's closest towards us. This loop. So we're going to go into the front loop of this stitch, I'm going to go into the front loop of the next stitch, and then we are going to yarn over and pull through both. We have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through both. So that's our first decrease. So then we are going to do 7 single crochets again. And then front loop of the first stitch, front loop of the second stitch. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through the remaining 2. And continue doing that till the end. You're going to end on a decrease when you remove the stitch marker. So now we are going to do 6 single crochets and then 1 decrease. And you can see that we're going to start to do the pattern where we decrease the amount of single crochets we do by 1 for each round. So for this round, we're doing 6 single crochets and then 1 decrease. For the next round, we're going to do 5 single crochets and then 1 decrease, and so on. So keep doing that till you reach 1 single crochet and then 1 decrease all around. So I attached my felt eyes and the nose, and I made sure to stuff the head pretty thick so that it's squishy. And now we are going to make the whiskers. And so I took a piece of black yarn and I threaded it through my needle. And now to make the whiskers, we are simply going to go from the inside of the hole that we didn't fasten off yet and poke it out wherever you want. So I'm gonna poke it out here. And make sure to hold one of the pieces of the black yarn tail so that it doesn't come out. Like this. And now we are going to just put it straight and then insert it from the outside to the inside. So poke it from the outside to the inside. Like this. And now we are going to do it again. So poke it from the inside to the outside. And I'm going to poke it somewhere here. And now you don't have to hold the black tail because it's secured. And I'll put it like somewhere here from the inside to the from the outside to the inside now. Like this. 8 decreases all around. And then we are going to fasten off. So first do the 8 decreases. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so now that we did the 8 decreases, we are going to go into the next stitch and we are going to fasten off by making a slip stitch. So to make a slip stitch, yarn over, pull through. And you see how you have 2 loops on your hook? You're going to pull through the second loop that's on your hook to only have 1 loop, and then leave a bit of a tail so that you can fasten off the hole, and then pull through gently. And you've just fastened off. So now to close the hole, you're going to take the yarn tail that we left and then thread it through the needle and simply go into the front loops again, the loop that's towards us of the 8 loops, 8 stitches, sorry. And you can skip a couple, like 2, so you can do 4 instead of going through 8. If you're using plush yarn, because it does thin out and we don't want that. And so now we are going to pull on the tail again, gently, to fasten it off. And then we are going to poke it in the middle and poke it to the outside. So position it to the outside at an angle, kind of. Like this. And then just simply go into a couple stitches so that you fasten it off and secure it so that it doesn't untangle. And then you can cut your yarn and hide it inside of the head. We are now going to start working on the body and the legs. So I made this time 6 single crochets in a magic ring. So it's the same process, just 6 instead of 8. And if you forgot how to do it, you can always rewind. And make sure to put your stitch marker again. This is your friendly reminder at the end of the most recent stitch that you made. And now we are going to increase 6 times. Now we are going to do 2 rounds of single crochets in each stitch and then fasten off for the first leg by making a slip stitch like we did with the head and then repeat the same steps for the second leg, but come back. So I just finished making my second leg, and I made sure to not fasten off that leg, and here is my first leg that I fastened off. So now we are going to change colors, and to do that, I like to loosen my loop on my hook, and then you see like the line, this line and this line. It's kind of angled and hard to see, but you're going to go into these two lines like this, and then you're going to go and get your secondary color, whichever one you want. I'm going to use pink, and I'm going to put it on my hook like this, right? And then hold it to make a loop, and then pull through like the lines that we went through. And so then you can see that there's like a loop with the white yarn. So you can then take your working yarn tail from the white yarn and pull on it. And there you go. You've connected your second color. And so now we are going to chain 2. And to chain 2, simply wrap your yarn around your hook like this. So wrap your yarn around your hook and then pull through. So that's one chain, and then wrap your yarn around your hook again, and that's your second chain. So now you see the stitch marker where we had we put it in our second leg to indicate that this is where we end. We are now going to take it out, and we are going to put it in the second chain from our, in a second chain actually, not from our hook, in our second chain that we just stitched, crocheted, I guess. So it's the one closest to the loop again. And that's where we end now. So ignore, we no longer end here. We end in the second chain that we chained. And that's it. So now we are going to connect the legs. And so take your first leg, and you see where the yarn tail ends? It's right here, or starts, I guess. So we are going to go into the next stitch. So this is where it ended, and there's a stitch right here. So we are going to go into this stitch, and we are going to make a single crochet. So wrap your yarn around your hook, pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through. So that's your first single crochet, and you've connected the legs. So now you're going to do 11 more single crochets, so a total of 12 single crochets on the first leg. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now if you want, you can cut the white yarn, and you don't have to leave a long tail. So cut it, and then you can put it inside the first leg so that you don't see it anymore and it doesn't like distract you. And yeah. So we made the 12 single crochets on the first leg, and now this might be a little tricky. We are going to go into the 2 chains that we made, and we are going to make 1 single crochet in each of the 2 chains. So it should be easy to find the second chain, I guess, because it's the one that has the stitch marker. So go into that one and make your single crochet like you would normally do. And then go into the next stitch, which is the one that's hard to see, but it's this one. maybe very hard to go into actually. There. So you're just going to have to try to put your hook into that first chain that we made. And now we are going to make 12 single crochets in the next leg, which is the second leg. And so go into this first chain, stitch, and do 1 single crochet, and then do 11 more. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11, 12. And now we are going to do the same thing, and we're going to do 2 single crochets in the 2 chains. That should now be kind of turned into stitches because we single crocheted in them, but from the other side. So go into the first chain and do 1 single crochet, and then remove your stitch marker from the second chain and do 1 single crochet. And there you go. Then you put your stitch marker back into the loop closest to, or the stitch closest to the loop, and you've connected the legs. Congrats! So now for the next round, we are going to do 3 single crochets and then 1 increase all around. And so make sure that you go into the first stitch, which might be a little hidden. It's this one right here. This one. So go into it and do 1 single crochet, and then go into the next stitch and do another single crochet, and then the next stitch and do a single crochet. And then now we are going to do an increase, and so on. 1, 2, 3, increase, increase, and then 1, 1, 2, 3, increase, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase, increase. So now for the next 4 rounds, we are going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch like we've been doing for so long. So now we are going to do 14 single crochets and then 1 decrease for 2 times. And then in the last 3 stitches, we are going to do 1 single crochet in each of those 3 stitches. For the next 2 rounds, we are going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So if you have a hole between your legs, you will flip the work inside out, and you're going to use the pink yarn tail that we attached, that we left behind when we attached the yarn. So flipping it out, and you see this one that we attached, you're going to just sew the hole closed with this one, and that's it. So finally, we are going to do 5 single crochets and then 1 decrease all around until we have 5 single crochets remaining, 5 stitches remaining, and then we're going to do the 5 single crochets in these 5 stitches. And then fasten off and leave a long tail, because that's the tail you're going to use to sew the body to the head. So I made 6 single crochets in a magic ring, and now we are going to do 1 single crochet and 1 increase all around. Then we are going to do 2 single crochets and then 1 increase all around. Now we're going to do 3 single crochets and then 1 increase all around. Make sure that you fasten off by doing a slip stitch. So I made 6 single crochets in a magic ring, and now I'm going to increase 6 times. And now for 2 rounds, we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch and then fasten off by doing a slip stitch and cut your yarn. Leave a little bit of a tail, not too little, so that you can sew it onto the body. We're going to start off by making a slip knot, and to do that, you're going to just make like a loop on your finger and take that loop and flip it to the opposite side, like this. And then you see that yarn in the middle, you're going to take it and pull on this yarn tail at the same time, and you have a loop. And then take your loop and put it on your hook, and then pull on both the working yarn, which is the yarn attached to the skein of yarn, and the yarn tail to tie in the loop. And there you go, you've made a slip stitch. A slip knot. So now we are going to chain 20. So remember, you just put the yarn around your hook and pull through. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
So I made sure to chain 20, and now I'm going to do an extra 1 single crochet, chain for it to be 21, because that's the chain we're going to skip. So now from the second chain from your hook, so not the chain we just made, so that's the 21st chain. We're going to go into the 20th chain, and we are going to make a single crochet. And then we are going to go into the 19th chain and make a single crochet. And so we are just going to go all along the line of chains now, and we are going to make a single crochet in each one. Just make sure that you skip the 21st chain and you go into the 20th chain, and from there you go down the line of chains. So I finished single crocheting in the chains, and now we are going to turn our work. So this is how our work was, this is the direction, and now we are going to flip it. And then we are just going to do the same thing, so 1 single crochet in each stitch in the 20 stitches that we have. And you're going to repeat that where you do 20 single crochets and then turn your work and then do 20 single crochets for 4 rounds. So each time you flip, it's 1 round, right? So we made 1 round of single crochets, and well, single crochets in the chains. And now we are going to do single crochet all across, and that's 1 round. And then we need to do 3 more rounds, and that's it. So basically we are going to do 20 single crochets along, and then we are going to turn our work and do another 20 single crochets. So essentially we are going to turn our work 4 times to do the 20 single crochets and then come back. So now we are going to do a slip stitch in that same chain, same stitch that we made the single crochet, or 20th single crochet, and then we are going to leave a long tail and then pull through. Now we are going to take our bow and we are going to fold it like this, and then we are just going to go into the opposite stitch and you're just going to keep doing that. So go into this side of the stitch and the opposite side, wherever you find space. Like there's no specific right way, it's just where you find openings. Okay, so now I like to go from the top of the like stitches so that I can reach somewhere in the middle, because then we are going to wrap it around to make the bow shape. So just go all around until you reach the middle, which is subjective again. So I like it here. And now all I'm gonna do is just wrap the yarn around the bow to give it that bow shape. Like that. And there you go. Then you're going to use the remaining yarn tail and you're going to sew it onto the head. I made 6 single crochets and a magic ring, and now in the first stitch I'm just going to slip stitch to make it more of a circle, and then I'm going to leave a little bit of a yarn tail, not too short, so that you can sew it onto the bow. We're going to start attaching the bow circle to the bow, and so to do that, attach the yarn tail from the yarn tail we left when we slip stitched, not the yarn tail that's attached to the single crochet to the magic ring. And yeah, just take a piece from the bow, like any stitch from the bow, and then go in a stitch from the circle, and then again a stitch from the bow. It can be 2 stitches, it doesn't really matter. And then a stitch from the circle, and then a stitch from the bow, and then yeah, so we're just gonna keep doing that all around until you're pleased with how it's placed. So now we are going to sew the ear onto the head, and before that, make sure you have stuffed the ear a little bit, and then place it wherever, wherever you want it to be. So I'm gonna place it here towards the corner, and again, you just take a piece from the head, and then a piece from the ear, and then a piece from the head, and so on. That's literally all you're gonna do to connect everything. So you're going to sew on the body to the head the same way you sewed on like anything. So you're gonna take a piece from the body, and then a piece from the head, and then a piece from the body, and a piece from the head, and so on. Just keep doing that all around, and you're done. That's the final product after sewing everything together. Thank you so much for watching, if you're here watching this part, and make sure to subscribe and let me know what you want me to make a tutorial of.